access to the house, and he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television. They had a recording of Meek and Diddy
making love?
Ew. I don't know if it was love.
They want to make it. They want to make it so badly. You get these vulnerable people. Parents are letting you do this because they want to make it so badly. And then you record them probably and say, if you do anything, we got this on you.
You know, go through anything I went through. I don't wish that upon anybody.
For years, Justin Bieber kept quiet. While the world watched him rise from YouTube teen sensation to global pop icon, very few knew what was happening behind the scenes. Now, with lawsuits piling up against Sean Diddy Combs and multiple celebrities coming forward with disturbing stories, it seems like Justin is finally ready to break his silence, and the things he's revealing are deeply unsettling. In recent weeks, whispers have turned into full-blown fan theories. Clips from the past have started resurfacing, and suddenly, Justin's long and complicated history with Diddy is under the microscope. But this time, it's not just about cryptic posts or uncomfortable interviews. It's about what Justin allegedly saw firsthand. He's reportedly revealing a list of rappers and celebrities that Diddy was allegedly involved with, including huge names like Usher and Meek Mill. These aren't just baseless rumors either. Some of these men have had their own questionable associations with Diddy over the years, like Meek's leaked and now everything is starting to make a lot more sense. Fans who once brushed off odd interactions and strange party stories are now realizing there may have been something much darker going on, and he's now openly talking about it. On his socials, he recently posted a video that sparked a lot of controversy. Basically, Justin uploaded a video of him eating a slice of pizza, as Diddy X Cassie took the stand, which has led to fans to assume that Justin was sending a message. Prominent journalist and Pizzagate legend Liz Crokin noted, "The video looks like it was taken from a surveillance camera. You know, like the cameras Diddy used to tape freak-off parties for blackmail purposes." Justin's claims suggest he was exposed to things no child should have seen. Stories about sleepovers, about being made to watch, and about the messed-up power dynamics at play in Diddy's circle. For a long time, people laughed off Justin's struggles in his late teens, his meltdowns, his drug use, his erratic behavior. But now, there's a growing realization that what looked like a teenage rebellion may have actually been the result of real trauma. And the craziest part, this might just be the beginning. It all started with Usher. Before he was a global superstar, Usher was just a teenager with a dream. He was discovered by music executive L.A. Reid, who immediately saw his potential and signed him to LaFace Records. But as talented as he was, breaking into the music industry wasn't just about singing. There were unspoken rules and powerful figures to impress. That's where Sean P. Diddy Combs came in. Early in his career, Usher was placed under Diddy's mentorship. He was told that if he wanted to make it big, he had to learn from the moguls who ran the game. And Diddy was one of the biggest names in the business. So, still in his teens, Usher packed his bags and moved in with Puffy. The idea was to train him, to teach him how to move in the industry, how to build a brand, how to be great.
I moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
But according to Usher himself in past interviews, what he experienced wasn't exactly a traditional mentorship. At first, it was exciting. He was around celebrities in high-energy environments soaking up knowledge, but it didn't take long for that excitement to turn into confusion and discomfort. Usher started noticing things. Parties that didn't feel right, people coming and going at odd hours, behavior that didn't match the professional image Diddy showed the world. Usher admitted that it was overwhelming. He was young, far from home, and suddenly surrounded by a lifestyle that felt more chaotic than inspiring. Over time, the mentorship faded, and Usher began to distance himself. Though he rarely talks about that period in detail, fans have long speculated that his early time with Diddy left a mark on him. And now, with all the recent allegations and Justin Bieber stepping forward to talk about his own time with Diddy, many are re-examining Usher's story with fresh eyes. You see, Usher met Diddy when he was just 13 years old. Diddy became his legal guardian and produced Usher's 1994 debut album. At first, it seemed like a major opportunity, learning from someone with serious industry power. But Usher later revealed that he was exposed to a lot more than just music during those early years. In a 2004 interview with Rolling Stone, Usher reflected on that time, saying Diddy introduced him to a lifestyle that was far too mature for someone his age. He mentioned that the environment was overwhelming overwhelming with things happening around him that no young teenager should have been exposed to. Now, with multiple allegations and lawsuits surfacing against Diddy, many people are looking back at Usher's early experiences with fresh eyes. What once sounded like a wild part of the industry now feels troubling, especially knowing Usher was just a kid.
We used to wake up and, pause, but like, check this out. Back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the frosted flake.
During his 35th birthday celebration back in 2013, Usher opened up about his early years in the industry and the influence Sean Diddy Combs had on him as a teenager. According to reports from Daily Mail, Diddy was present at the event when Usher made a candid speech about how he was introduced to the fast-paced world of celebrity life. "I was introduced to everything by Puff Daddy when I was only 15, Usher said, recalling the kinds of parties and the lifestyle that came with being around Diddy. Despite admitting he'd had a taste of it all, he made it clear that he never let those experiences control him. He even added that he wouldn't take back the advice Diddy had given him over the years. Later, in a 2016 interview on The Howard Stern Show, Usher reflected on that same time period. He brought up Diddy's infamous Puffy Flavor Camp, a nickname for the gatherings and trips that were part of Diddy's mentorship. Usher described those parties as places where very curious things were happening. And when Stern asked whether he would ever send his own children to something like that, Usher didn't hesitate. Hell no.
I did say is that there were very curious things taking place, and I didn't necessarily understand.
Looking back now, in the context of the ongoing allegations surrounding Diddy, Usher's past comments feel even more important. What once seemed like wild industry stories now raise serious questions about what young artists were being exposed to behind closed doors. Usher hasn't publicly said much about Diddy in recent years, and his silence has been especially noticeable ever since the wave of lawsuits and serious allegations against the Bad Boy Records founder began flooding the headlines. While other artists have distanced themselves or subtly acknowledged the situation, Usher has kept completely quiet, not a single word. But in September 2024, fans noticed something strange. Usher had wiped every post from his ex, formerly Twitter profile. All of it gone. No explanation, no farewell note, just a completely blank timeline. When people started asking questions, Usher claimed he'd been hacked. Still, the timing felt too on the nose for some people to buy it. After all, this happened right around the time the FBI reportedly began investigating Diddy and those in his inner circle. Naturally, theories started flying. Some believe Usher is staying silent out of fear that Diddy might still have influence over him or even hold damaging information from their past. Others think the post-purge may have been a precautionary move, scrubbing anything that could potentially connect him to the deeper mess behind the scenes. Fans have pointed out that Usher was one of the few people who had a front row seat to Diddy's lifestyle from a very young age. And it's no secret that he was exposed to a lot early on. Whether he's protecting himself, others, or just doesn't want to get involved, his total silence hasn't gone unnoticed. And in a moment where everyone's watching, that silence is speaking volumes. As Justin Bieber begins to speak out about his own early experiences with Diddy, fans are connecting the dots. Usher's past comments now seem like early warnings about an environment that may have harmed more young artists than anyone realized. Now, Justin Bieber seems ready to speak out, not just about what happened to him, but about everything he witnessed growing up around some of the most powerful names in the industry. For years, people brushed off his rebellious phase as just a young star going off the rails. But now, fans are starting to see it differently. Maybe it wasn't just teen angst. Maybe it was trauma. Sources close to Justin say he was around near the end, when Diddy's parties weren't so much wild as they were unsettling. He wasn't just being brought to events for fun. He was being shown a side of the industry no teenager should have been exposed to, and he wasn't alone. Usher was often there too, having already lived through his own years under Diddy's influence. Justin has reportedly started revealing more of what he saw behind closed doors, how things really looked when the cameras weren't rolling. He saw how Diddy operated. He saw the dynamic between Diddy and Usher, and how that relationship wasn't just about music or mentorship. There was an unspoken power imbalance, and Justin, still a kid himself, was caught right in the middle of it. And now, after years of staying quiet, deleting posts, and avoiding questions, it looks like he's finally done carrying the weight of those memories alone. And while JB talks about Usher, he is also coming to the public about all the other people that got involved. One of them was Meek Mill's. One of the more explosive claims in Rodney Lil Rod Jones's lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs is buried in the footnotes. footnotes, but it's made a lot of noise online. In a portion of the filing, Jones alleges that Diddy bragged about having fellow artists Meek Mill and Usher. While neither Meek nor Usher are accused of any wrongdoing in the lawsuit, their names were essentially revealed through not-so-subtle footnotes. So, Meek basically shut down Jones's accusations in a whole marathon of posts on X. You know, Twitter's new name now. He was like, "No man or Watt would ever approach me about gay activity, and the whole place don't get flipped. Woke up seeing this on every blog like they know I'm coming. LOL." That's classic Meek right there. Always raw, unfiltered, and straight to the point on social media. But this time, that same unpolished vibe kind of worked against him. Instead of calming things down, fans and followers jumped on his every word, especially since he was so loud about declaring his heterosexuality. It almost felt like the more he insisted, the more people dug in with questions and jokes. But Meek Mill, who's been linked to Diddy in all kinds of stories over the years, has been pretty clear about shutting down the rumors that there was anything romantic or sexual between them. You might have heard about some wild parties they've both been to together, including that infamous 2014 Grammys party that Meek actually hosted. Yeah, that one got broken up by the cops, which only added to the drama and speculation. But despite all the rumors flying around, Meek has consistently denied that anything like a sexual relationship ever happened between him and Diddy. Their connection mostly comes from the music world. They worked together quite a bit between 2012 and 2015. For example, Meek is featured on Diddy's track I Want the Love, and Diddy returned the favor by appearing on Meek's song Cold Hearted. So it's clear they had a professional relationship and some creative chemistry. But beyond that, Meek's made it pretty obvious that the rumors about them going beyond that are just that, rumors. It's interesting because when two big names like Meek and Diddy have worked together and shown up at the same events, it's almost like people expect drama or gossip to follow. And sometimes the more public and flashy the parties get, like that Grammy night, the more wild stories pop up. But Meek has kept his stance consistent. He hasn't just ignored the rumors, he's actively pushed back against them whenever they come up, making it clear he's focused on his career and isn't about to get caught up in baseless speculation. At the end of the day, their history is tied to music and business, not anything else. And while rumors can spread like wildfire online, especially when there's a lot of attention on both of them, Meek's response shows he's not here for the drama, just the facts. After all the rumors and wild speculation, Meek Mill actually went a step further and announced he'd pay an investigative team a whopping $100,000 just to find out how these stories linking him to Diddy even started popping up in the media. That move really made people sit up and take notice. It wasn't just a casual denial anymore. It was like Meek was saying, someone's out here trying to mess with my name on purpose. By offering that kind of money, he was basically hinting at a conspiracy or some behind-the-scenes effort to smear him. What's interesting is that Meek hasn't directly responded to Diddy's own allegations or statements about him. Instead, he's kept things pretty vague but firm. Back in April, he posted on social media, "I don't believe no Diddy story," and added, "Once they lied about me," making it clear he's skeptical of anything coming from that side, and feels like he's been targeted with false information before. It's like he's saying, "I've been through this kind of drama before, so I'm not falling for it now." A lot of people out there think Meek's quick to call all these rumors fake because he's not ready, or maybe just doesn't want to be vulnerable about what actually went down with Diddy. You know how it is. Admitting something like that, especially when it involves someone as big and powerful as Diddy, means opening yourself up to a whole lot of scrutiny and judgment. It's not just about the story itself, it's about the fallout, the way people might treat you afterward, and the personal pain that comes with sharing something so raw. Some fans and observers feel like Meek's pushing back so hard and denying everything because it's easier to shut it down than to deal with the mess that would come from spilling the real truth. Vulnerability can be scary, especially in the public eye where every word is dissected and turned into headlines or memes. Plus, Meek's always been known for keeping it tough and unfiltered on social media, which sometimes makes it hard to tell what he's really feeling beneath the surface. There's also this idea that if Meek did open up about what happened with Diddy, it could shake up a lot of things: his image, his relationships in the industry, and even his fan base. It's a heavy weight to carry, and sometimes people cope by denying or minimizing the situation instead of confronting it head-on. That doesn't mean he's lying or playing games. It could just mean he's protecting himself in the way he knows how. And there are other stars too who apparently JB had seen with Puff. Diddy's been known for throwing some seriously wild parties over the years, and Fab definitely seemed to have seen his fair share of them. In fact, back in 2021, Fab shared a funny little story on his Instagram about one time he pulled an Irish exit at one of Diddy's parties. For anyone not in the know, an Irish exit is when you sneak out without saying goodbye, usually by pretending to go to the bathroom and then just disappearing. Classic move when you want to avoid the awkwardness of leaving a party. Fab explained it pretty perfectly. You ever got peer pressured into going to the afties? You really want to go home or back to the room, but you don't want to be the turn down to the turn up. Basically, you don't want to be the buzzkill, but you're ready to call it a night. So, he told Diddy he was heading to the bathroom, and then just slipped out. And get this, it was 7 a.m., and Diddy was still going hard. Fab even admitted this N was still turned.
I want to party with me for your birthday, man.
We partied for my birthday before. You came to my party.
No, but me and you ain't never really party, you know what I'm saying?
And while a lot of people suffered, others decided to run at the first sign of trouble. On a recent episode of the We in Miami podcast, veteran rapper Uncle Luke dropped some pretty interesting hints about just how wild Diddy's parties really are. He didn't spill all the details, but his tone said a lot, like there's definitely more going on behind the scenes than most people realize. When someone on the podcast asked him why he always seemed to make an early exit, Uncle Luke kept it simple but telling. I don't know what goes on after hours, but I wasn't trying to find out. I know my place. Basically, he knew the party scene with Diddy wasn't for him, and wisely chose to keep his distance. Uncle Luke also shared a story that showed just how careful he was about staying out of Diddy's inner circle. He talked about how the hit song I Wanna Rock, which he originally made famous, was sampled by French Montana for the track Pop That, featuring big names like Rick Ross, Drake, and Lil Wayne. Apparently, nobody gave him a heads up about the sample. Diddy did invite Uncle Luke to appear in the music video for Pop That, but Uncle Luke declined, saying it just wasn't his scene. When the interviewer asked if he at least got paid for it, Uncle Luke gave a straight up, "Nah, I ain't want no check." And when another podcast member said, "All money ain't good money," Uncle Luke nodded like he couldn't agree more. It's clear that for him, staying true to himself and his values was way more important than any quick paycheck or association with the hype. And honestly, that kind of distance probably helped him avoid the messier parts of Diddy's wild world. A few days after all the back and forth, he dropped another hint in a video suggesting that Diddy might have annoyed some big corporate players, which could be why he's now facing legal trouble. It's like he was saying, look, this isn't just about personal drama. There are bigger forces at work here. And if you follow Diddy's business moves, that theory makes a bit of sense. Back in June 2023, Diddy and Diageo, the giant alcohol company behind brands like Ciroc Vodka and De Leon Tequila, officially ended their partnership. Things got so heated that they almost went to court in a major legal battle. Diddy actually sued Diageo, claiming they didn't hold up their end of the deal and failed to properly support their joint ventures. But Diageo fired back hard, revealing some eyebrow-raising details. Despite pulling in close to $1 billion in profit from those brands, Diddy's own financial input into the partnership was just $1,000. That little detail made waves because it suggested there was more tension and complexity behind the scenes than what met the eye. So his suggestion that Diddy might have ruffled some feathers in the corporate world, and that's part of why the legal heat is on him, isn't totally out of left field. It paints a picture of a bigger chess game happening behind all the headlines and social media drama. Justin Bieber's rise to fame is often talked about, but what's less discussed is just how involved some big industry players were in his early years, especially Diddy. Bieber was discovered at just 13 by Scooter Braun, a former marketing executive who saw huge potential in the young singer. Scooter and Usher actually created a special joint venture called Raymond Braun Music Group, just to launch Bieber's career. Now, here's where Diddy comes in. In a video that Bieber uploaded to his YouTube channel back in November 2009, when he was only about 15, Diddy talks about Bieber spending 48 hours with Diddy. He teased the fun without giving too much away, saying, "Where we're hanging out and what we're doing, we can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream." What's striking is that Diddy says he didn't have legal guardianship over Bieber during those 48 hours like he had when Usher stayed with him, so it was a very brief but intense kind of mentorship or hangout. At one point in the video, Diddy asks Bieber what he wants to do, and Bieber cheekily replies, "Let's go get some girls." Diddy's response? A man after my own heart. That's what I'm talking about. It's a pretty casual, almost brotherly vibe. But looking back, it's also a glimpse into how Bieber was being introduced to the adult world of music, fame, and partying at a very young age. Fast forward to December 2010, when Bieber was 16, and there's another video on Diddy's YouTube channel where Diddy is teaching Bieber how to swag walk. He even points out how Bieber was starting to act different, saying, "You ain't been calling me and hanging out how we used to hang out." You can tell they had some kind of bond, even if it wasn't always super close or consistent. As Bieber got older and bigger, the two were pictured together less often, but it seemed like they stayed on decent terms. Around 2014, on an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Khloe Kardashian dropped a wild story about a party she attended where half the people were butt naked. When her sister Kourtney asked who was there, she named off a list that included Diddy, or Quincy Combs, as she called him. Putting all this together, it's clear Bieber's early career involved being around some very adult, very intense scenes, with Diddy right in the middle of it. And while the public mostly sees the polished pop star now, these glimpses behind the scenes show a much more complicated and sometimes wild introduction to fame. Lately, Justin Bieber has been opening up in a way that's caught a lot of people's attention. He started talking about how, back in the day, Diddy used to make him watch some pretty intense stuff. Things that, honestly, you wouldn't expect a teenager to be exposed to. It's like Justin's hinting that those early hangouts with Diddy weren't just about having fun or learning the ropes of the music industry. Instead, he's revealing that there was a darker, more uncomfortable side to those experiences. From what Justin's shared, it sounds like Diddy would have him sit through things that felt inappropriate or way over his head for a kid that young. It's not exactly clear what the content was, but Justin's tone suggests it wasn't the kind of thing a teenager should have been around. It raises questions about the kind of environment he was being introduced to, and whether it was more harmful than helpful. For fans and outsiders, it's a lot to take in, especially considering how Diddy was such a big influence early on in Justin's career. Now, Justin seems to be pushing back on that narrative, showing a side of the story that's much more complicated. So, what do you think? Comment down below and let us know. If you liked this video, click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to be the first to see my next video. I post updates like this every week where I uncover the secrets of your favorite celebrities.